What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the After Effect Podcast Show. I'm your host, LeBron Stephen, but you can call me L Bookie, Big Brian, B, Brian, LB, Ronnie. The choice is yours. Welcome to episode 73. We have a very, very special guest. Harold Dalton is on the show today. Camden, New Jersey native, was a top recruit coming out of high school in, I believe, 2003 or 4. From there, he decided to attend the University of Iowa, where he played safety and was a one-year starter. Harold resides in the Romeoville, Illinois state now, the Romeoville, Illinois area now. He's a district senior director at Target. Super uber excited to get Harold on the show. Well, HD is what we call him. We were teammates in 2007 and 2008, my redshirt year and my redshirt freshman year, which was his senior year. So super excited to get HD on the show and have him talk about his career and his transition to the real world, the after effect of his career, right? So just send him the link, and once he jumps on, we will go in.
A guy who came from Cleveland.
Okay, well, you ain't from Cleveland, though.
Cleveland was the best location in the nation. Yeah.
You know, we from Cleveland, Ohio.
Glenville community on the east side of Cleveland.
Cleveland was called the best location in the nation.
What's good? What's good, LeBron?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Oh, I sure can.
Okay. What's going on, man? It's good to see you, bro.
It's great to see you too, my man. It's great to see you.
Hey, man, I appreciate you carving out the time, man. I know you're super busy.
Oh, man. Ain't too busy for you.
My dog. So, yeah, man, this is called the After Effect Podcast Show. I started it almost 2 years ago. It's my belief that all of us current and former athletes, we all have an after effect or aftershock from our career, the wins, the losses, the injuries, the politics, the racism, the nepotism, everything that we go through as athletes. I think that a lot of guys don't get to tell their stories, passionate about storytelling. So this is kind of a free and safe space for us to just kind of like relive our journey. This is episode 73. What I hear from a lot of guys, especially guys that are alumni from the University of Iowa, they just never really dove back into their career. Life moves so fast. And so they never really got the chance to talk about it, think about it. So this is that, man. Appreciate
That's what's up, man. I appreciate you having me on this and giving me this opportunity. Us being foreign teammates definitely was a grind. I was definitely a different experience than what most athletes probably have experienced. When I think about this, the staff and everything is a lot like probably what the Patriots is saying from just the atmosphere we had. Exactly. I appreciate having me on, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. So I always try to start off with, just a couple current events. So I just got 2 current events before we dive into your childhood. Won't try to keep you too long. We got the divisional round this weekend. So who do you have? I see you got the Eagles. I see you got the.
Hey, bro, I'm still representing because I'm South Jersey from Camden, New Jersey.
Right. Y'all took a bad L last Saturday. So since y'all out of it, who you got taking it home?
So I picked the Eagles to go all the way. Obviously, I was very biased, and I took a building year more than anything. But at the end of the day, I still picked my Eagles, but it didn't end up that way. But
what's your take on the loss last week? What happened?
It was a building year. And at the end of the day, man, I knew that we outpaced what our expectations was. Right. And I think it was great coaching from Coach Sirianni. And I think Jalen had a great year. And I think we got a lot of young, great weapons on offense. Right. And when I think about the defense, I think we got some room to grow. And to be honest, I think Jalen has some room to grow too. His true colors showed out, just timing, getting the in a quick pace, and I think the man holds the ball a little bit too long. But the good thing is I think he's promising. He has a lot of good opportunities to continue to grow. But I tell you what, if they can get us Deshaun Watson, I'm not mad at that.
I was surprised that didn't no teams bid on that earlier. It'll be interesting to see what they do this offseason. I know they've been talking about, Jalen got you all to the playoffs, but is he the quarterback of the future?
Here's the deal. I think he has the potential. I think he's been overlooked in his whole career path. You look at him and Tua of what they're at today. I think talent perspective, it showed how great the receivers and the talent was around him that made them even better.
Right.
But I definitely have the potential to be great in the NFL. The key question was around Jalen. Do I think Jalen can be a franchise quarterback? Absolutely. I think he has some room to grow, but what I love is his work ethic, his dedication to his game, and he continues to get better every year. You look at stats this year.
Yeah.
It's not a lot. He put up Lamar Jackson stats this year.
I saw he almost rushed for 1K.
That's what I'm saying. So I think the potential's there, but I don't know if the Eagles are committed to do what Baltimore is doing around Lamar to put type of offense around it. So
right. Yeah. I love that take. Obviously, I'm a Cleveland guy, so I'm a Browns fan. Not really a Baker fan. I'm hoping they deal him, but he just got his surgery, and I think as you know, the politics in ball, even if the coaches don't want him, but if the owner likes him, they're going to keep him. So I would love for them to go get Deshaun Watson. In my dreams, I see them dealing with Aaron Rodgers because after this year, he may not stay in Green Bay, but that probably would happen.
No, bro. I don't know he's going to Cleveland after Green Bay.
After all these years at Green Bay.
He may go a little more exotic.
Right. Warmer, palm trees. So yeah, last thing, man. We are almost at the 2-year mark of the coronavirus pandemic. How did you find yourself having to grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, just as a man, as a husband, as a father? Since we've been alive, we've never had to walk through a coronavirus pandemic. We've never had to wear masks. The world has never shut down. So us kind of walking through that for the first time almost 2 years ago, what kind of deep dive did you take, back into yourself, back into your wife, back into your family, and also, your job, just, keeping food on the table? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, definitely the pandemic was like no other, and it's still going on. And in the in-between of this pandemic, when we talk about from a life perspective, it definitely helped, reassess what life is about, the importance of family time, the importance of connection with people, and having these moments like we're having today, right? And your journey with this podcast, I follow people through social media and things like that. I'm not a big social media guy, but I do watch and observe. Mm-hmm. I think the importance of connection has been underestimated, and we don't take enough time to slow down and have genuine connections with people. And it's taken me to the opportunity to, value these moments, value and make I have intentional structure in front of me to make sure I have those moments with people I haven't connected with in a very long time. So those was important to me. From a work perspective, man, the crazy thing is I got a promotion with this time that I've since the pandemic, and so my background, my job worked for Target for the last 12 years. I've climbed up the ranks. I was a store manager. Recently, I was a district senior director. I got this promotion. Now I'm running a multi-unit job. But I think the biggest thing for me in this time frame was continue to self-evaluate yourself, self-reflections in this job. And it's continued to push me to be the best person I can possibly be. And I think the great thing is that sports has put me in this position of self-evaluation, always being critical amongst yourself, always pushing yourself to be your best self. And it's gotten me to this point where I'm running a multi-unit job, and it's a job I've never done before. And it's exciting. It's fulfilling, but it's still that competition that I've gotten through sports that would to be my best self.
Yeah. It's funny, that you kind of honed in on the ladder that you have to climb, with your job, because I wanted to touch on that kind of towards the end, but I'm glad you talked about it now. I know you alluded to football and, just that competitive mindset and just waking up every day and, just going to get it no matter what turbulence or pitfalls you may run into, roadblocks, it's all, that's just kind of how life is. Where did that steadfastness come to just continue to climb the ranks, at Target? And when you first started, did you feel like you should have started higher? Was there any ego? Did you have any time, towards the beginning where maybe you thought maybe you wanted to go towards another company? Just kind of, expound on that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, man. I think when I think about who I am as a human, I'm originally from Camden, New Jersey. Where I'm from, nothing's handed to you, and everything that you do, you work for, and that's part of the reason why I went to the University of Iowa. I thought Iowa had a lot of stigma of who I was as a human. People ask me all the time, how the heck you end up in Iowa? It's part of that. But when you think about my journey, even through sports, I've worked my butt off to get opportunities that I had. I never was handed anything. Anything that I got, it was through me just working my butt off and self-reflection and pushing myself better and giving myself goals.
Absolutely.
And I think goal setting was the biggest thing for me, is what helped me continue to climb up these ranks, is that I never settled for where I was. And I've always had a 5-year plan. And all the time, every time you put these goals out, you always hit them. Luckily that I've had the opportunity to hit these goals. Has there been roadblocks along the way? Absolutely. Has there been things where I felt like I could have been moving faster along? Absolutely. But what I enjoy about my journey is more of the learning along the ways, learning from others' mistakes to not make those same mistakes when I get these. And when I do get these opportunities, continue to reevaluate myself to continue to get better. So that's my journey with my Target career. I started off overnight, coming out of Iowa, being this big sports athlete, never thought I would work in an overnight job. Then I go from doing that to coming back dayside and working my way up. And all these people are telling me, man, you got a lot of potential. And I don't know what potential is, because my potential was big as me just this game for my whole life.
It's a different language.
It's a different language, man. And the journey has been great. It's been tough. It's been hard. I've had kids along the way. Me and my wife had our first kid when we was in Iowa.
I remember.
as a junior, about to be senior. And now this dude, almost 15 years old, man. It's just been an amazing journey.
Yeah, man, I love that, man. I can attest to all that, just continuing to fight and climb that ladder, man. I love it. So let's dive into your childhood. Camden, New Jersey native, not too far from Cleveland. I always kind of feel old when I say this, but, we didn't have YouTube, camera phones, and all these electronics that the kids had now back in the 90s. I feel like I always say it was a more interactive world. You had to be in the room and you had to make jokes and make friends and play outside all day. So the street lights came on. You might come in and grab some water, or you might just get it from the hydrant. So we grew up a lot different than the kids now. So paint me a picture on what it was like in Camden, New Jersey. Every year, those lists come out of the most dangerous cities. You always see Camden, St. Louis, Detroit, Cleveland. It's literally always the same. Chicago. It's the same cities, man. So paint me a picture on what it was like growing up in the 90s. Did you have any role models in your life? How were you able to navigate through, just that inner city kind of workings and, find joy in football and kind of start to excel in that?
Man, that's a deep question right there, my friend. I love the question. Gosh. You know what? Growing up in Camden, New Jersey, back in the 90s is definitely different than what they're going through today. And you hit on a lot of marks around social media and all that good stuff. And the stuff that I would say, unless it was on video, no one would believe it.
Right.
Like no one believes you nowadays.
Right.
But I think growing up in Camden, New Jersey, it was an experience of a typical inner city. You see most of your friends that you grow up is not here today.
Right.
Comes to being locked up or dead or on drugs and all. I think what continued to help me stay focused was sports, but also I was probably when I think about my inner circle of friends, I was the only one that had both parents, both involved in my life.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Oh, very blessed, man. Both parents continue to show me what hard work looks like and and sacrificing for your family. And my best friend in life is my father. I tell people that he was the best at my wedding, and he's my biggest hero, my biggest role model. But my mother is the hardest working woman I've ever met. She's a Scorpio just like me, and she's the backbone of our family. And she taught me how to continue to push yourself to be great and don't allow people to say you can't do it. I think that was the big thing for me is growing up where you see a lot of death and violence and crime. It's easy for yourself to get wrapped up into some of those things. And
oh, really? It's right there.
Oh, it's right there, man. And to be honest, I didn't make all the best decisions growing up as a kid, but it took me, my high school coach, his name Kevin Ross. He's a DB coach right now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's my high school, right? Kevin Ross, he played for Kansas City Chiefs. He's from New Jersey. He told me, I was probably about 15, right? And he's like, Harold Dalton, you can be whatever you want to be, but you keep with this temper, you're going to be dead or in jail, right? And I was like, what? It's like, not me. He's like, look at these boys on the corner. The rate that you going in, you're going to be just like such and such. You know, he gave this guy his name. And this dude was a great athlete, incredible player. It's like, you'll be just like him. See, he sits out in his corner every single day. Nothing comes different, nothing new. He doesn't travel the world. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. All he do is sit on that block every day. And after that message, man, that was the biggest wake-up call I've ever had in my life. It's about 15 years old. It's probably like sophomore year of high school. And that's when I knew, it's like, man, I got to make a change. I got to change my perspective. If he's the person I respect the most told me this, when it comes to my athletic ability and my sports backgrounds, that's someone I've really looked up to because I wanted to be just like him. That's when I knew. I was like, I got to make a change, man. And from that point forward, I dedicated myself to school. I dedicated myself to my craft in football, and I tried my best to be the best person I could be. Right. And I had a lot of bumps, even in Iowa, but I'm sure we'll.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. I think that a lot of times people just truly don't understand how important it is. You know, if you do have, two-parent household. My parents, they got divorced when I was 11, but my father stayed in my life and he taught me meaningful and impactful things. And just like you, I made some mistakes along the way. And growing up in the inner city, it's very easy to become a follower or just one or two times do something that's not the best choice just because you're following, someone else. But one thing that he always told me, he kind of taught me how to assess, like, at a young age. So he was like, he would always say, find people who have the same interests as you. At the time, it was football, basketball. I excelled academically, always was on the honor roll. So he was like, find people who like football, who like basketball, who have good grades, who are in your class, And so it was easy for me to identify, like, okay, no, this dude, he's on track. He's getting in trouble every day. And then he said, and also watch the guys that get in trouble and do bad things. Watch if they have a consequence or not. Because if they don't have a consequence, mentally, that's going to tell them that they can do something bad and they don't have to have a consequence for doing something bad. So they're going to grow up thinking that the world owes them something. And then when they get 16 or 18, they're going to do something bad and they're going to think they don't have a consequence. But it's different when you've grown.
That's true.
Kill or you do something to somebody, they may want to retaliate. You just never know. So at a young age, I was able to see that and kind of started distance myself. Like, you still got to maneuver in any inner city, man. But
absolutely
being older, man, and kind of taking a deep dive back into that was really valuable. Like, and even still now as an adult, working and just and socially as well, man. So it's I think we're blessed, that we have both parents, man. But I heard you talk about high school. I heard you talk about your coach. For any elite athlete, we all have a time. For me, it was 10th grade. Some people was 8th grade, 12th grade. Jordan Bernstein, he knew he was elite in 7th grade.
Yeah.
So
Jordan was that dude's
he's a machine. So, like, for you, when was that time in high school or middle school when you said, when that light switch kind of hit on? Like, for any of the athletes, we all know when that light switch hit on, you start realizing that faster than a lot of guys your age, that you got a little more build and you're stronger than a lot of guys your age, and you start kind of like killing, dominating, having crazy games, getting accolades. For me, it was 10th grade. It was like, I was starting varsity football and basketball. I started like making sack records and TFLs and just all these things. So that was when the light switch hit on, like, oh no. So I've been watching college football all in the 90s with my newspaper in front of the TV. My dad would go get McDonald's, got to sit on the floor with the newspaper and eat. And now it's like that light switch hit on, like, oh no, I probably can actually really do this.
Right.
But that didn't happen for me till I was about 15, 16. So when would you say that time for you, when it was like, when that actually became a reality? Like, oh no, I could probably go play Division I football and go to college for free and get to college, obviously, because I'm sure, your parents, I know my parents couldn't afford it. So when was that time for you?
You know what, like, to be honest, I always thought I was a pretty good athlete, but the light didn't switch until this moment. right? This is when I knew that I had to be outside of that conversation that I had with my football coach. It was that same year I had that conversation with my football coaches when I got really serious. And I always knew I was good. I played on varsity as my freshman year, but you know what? Like, I thought that was just like normal, right? Like, no one knew. It was like, they ain't normal, bro. You playing varsity, right? But it was when my sophomore year, and my dad talking about like what I want to do in my future. And he was talking about like all this, because in his career path, my grandfather, my dad, they all went to the Army. We all were Marines, you know, they were Marines. And my dad was like, hey, like, let's start talking about getting you into the Marines. Mm-hmm. What that's like, college and all that. I was like, Marines? I was like, whoa. I don't know if I want to do all that bullets flying, and like he's already giving me these crazy stories of his time when he was in Nam, all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know about that. And I told my dad, and here's the reason why, right? So I pull out this shoebox, and it's just college letters after college letters after college letters, right? Mm-hmm. Look, I think all these teams want me to play football.
Right.
He was football. He's like, you good, but you ain't that good. I was like, well, someone must think I'm this good because I got all these, right? And at the time, my first offer came from Wyoming, bro. I don't remember who, the coach, nothing. I was like, Wyoming? I was like, what the My first college offer in my life was from Wyoming.
Wow.
Can't tell, right? Like, I don't even know where that.
Yeah, mine was Miami of Ohio.
Miami, Ohio, right? But at least you was in Ohio, bro.
Right. Right. Wyoming is random.
Bro, I was like, what recruiter was there that day to see me play ball and say, hey, this dude can play for us, right? But my second offer was definitely from Rutgers. Greg Schiano was the coach back then. I tell you what, then the offers after like my sophomore season, my junior season, I had the best year I've had, and it just was flocking in. And I remember, oh man, the coaches coming in, and the cool part about it is that I went to a high school where it D1 athlete after D1 athlete after D1 athlete. Mm-hmm. It was 7 of us that went D1. It was 10 of us went D1 AA. Back now it's all changed, but it was 10 of us that went D1 from my senior team, you know, and that was the coolest part about the journey of football. Is like I didn't even realize how good I was, and I'm top player on the top player team. You know, ain't nothing but ballers on my team already, and that's how I knew back then. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this game. I'm gonna play this thing. And to be honest, I wasn't even there. I never even dreamed about playing in the NFL. NFL wasn't a thing for me. It was about the college ball. And to be honest, I wanted to go to the U. That was the team I wanted to get to back.
yeah. Because I remember the early 2000s. You know, the U was like everybody loved the U. So yeah, I felt the same way. Obviously, growing up in Ohio State was my number one. But talk recruiting, because for me, after I got a couple of spot offers in 10th grade, but then after that 11th grade season, that's when they just start flooding. Like you said, you hit that stride, and they just started coming through. So just talk recruiting. Who was your top 3? What were you kind of thinking? And then ultimately, why the University of Iowa?
Bro, gosh, people tell me that all the time. Like, how you end up Iowa? So outside of the U, if it wasn't my top 2, it was University of Miami and Penn State. Right, that was where I wanted to go. Just probably Ohio State, right? Like Penn State. Yeah. Penn State was like the mecca of the East Coast. That's where you gonna go to college and play college ball. You gonna go.
You gonna go to state college.
College, right? But to be honest, they didn't recruit me heavy on, and it was a lot of schools that recruited me, and I think I was at like 26 or 27 offers my junior year. But when it came down to my top schools, Tennessee had a pipeline. Coach Philip Farmer had a pipeline. And a lot of guys was going to the league. Turk McBride and Rashad Baker was like, these was the dudes in high school for my high school. They went to Tennessee. But mine was Tennessee, VTech, obviously Penn State, Tennessee, VTech, Penn State, Iowa, right? And that's because Darrell Wilson, he was the head coach at my high school at one point. And then my 5th school was, right, like we just go to Rutgers every week. was there, right? Like,
right there.
Hang out with Shiano or whatever. So I took I took all 5 of my visits. Started off at Tennessee, and my boy Turk McBride was there, and he was telling me, he's like, bro, you don't want to go here. It's racist. It's like, you can't mess with the white girls. I was like, what?
That's so real of him to tell you that. Yeah, that's real.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So he's
because you know it's like that at some places.
Oh, it is, right?
Yeah.
He's giving me like, nah, bro, you don't want to go here, right? So that Tennessee came off the list, right? Yeah. And at the end of the day, the head coach still come to the school or whatnot. Went to VTech.
VTech, that's the Mike Vick era, right after.
Bro,
right after.
Marcus was my host.
Man, wow.
Yo,
that's dope.
Crazy, right? Like, and this dude living in some old wow crib, right?
Oh,
like
yeah, living like a king.
Bro, he's like a thing. They put Marcus like, Marcus had like 1,000% commitment rate, right? Like you know? Right. So I technically verbal committed after that visit, right? Kind of like didn't really commit, but I verbally, right? Like,
right.
Then obviously I went to Rutgers, then I wound up going to Indiana. I don't even know how that wound up happening. Then I went to Iowa last, and I went down to Iowa City. I was like, wow, this is different. Mm-hmm. Atmosphere was different. I went to the game. It was Iowa 03, Iowa versus Penn State. Bob Sanders was knocking out everybody. I was like, this dude, monster. I need to play like him, right?
Right.
Albert Young was my host, and AY was the Mecca of New Jersey before. He was the running back.
And he was the man. He was the man. I remember.
Right? Like the man coming out of New Jersey. So AY, I was like, this dude, man, had this extra swag, and he was showing me around. We had a blast that weekend. And the crazy part about it, it was just different, right? So I committed on my then I committed to Iowa. I was like, this is it. This is where I need to be.
And that makes sense. You got those New Jersey roots with Coach Wilson, Albert Young, the man, the running back. He's the guy right now. He's from Jersey. I know y'all hit it off. Then you see Bob Sanders, somebody to play your position, going crazy, one of the best players in the country. He's about to leave. So it makes sense.
Then they tell me, right? Coach Wilson tell me, you're the only safety we recruit this year. You know, plugging that in your brain.
Right,
we the only.
That recruiting malarkey is what I call
the malarkey, right? They're funny, right? Like, so and play into this, right? So going back to the whole recruiting thing, and I'll explain how I wound up really going to Iowa, because I committed, but my parents wasn't 100% at first, right? So I come back home, I tell my parents I committed. It was like, whoa. One, they kept calling it Ohio for some reason. They didn't even know where it was at on the map.
Yeah, it's like 15 hours from Jersey, ain't it? 16 hours? Yeah.
My parents kept calling Ohio, which kept funny. They thought I was going to Ohio State, which I never got an offer from. But so Philip Fulmer came to my house. Beamer came in my house. Joe Pa came at the end. Come on, bro. Like, come on, Joe. Then I got an offer from Miami at the end, bro. I was like, come on. As soon as I committed to Iowa, those two schools came in, right? And
I heard that's what happened when you commit. They come last minute, try to get you to decommit and go. Yeah,
they try to come at a player, right? So Joe Pa already got Elijah Robinson, one of my closest friends back then, already committed Penn State. He wound up being a coach for Penn State. Now he's Penn's D-line coach, top D-line coach for Texas A&M right now. But long story short is that what made me come to Iowa, Kurt Ferentz came. He was the only coach, right? Every other coach wanted to meet me at the school. And he already knew in Camden, New Jersey. And where I live, it's the block. Like, you walk outside, it's like dudes on the corner.
It's the trenches.
Walking down the street, crackhead, knocking on your window. It's wild, right? And
Captain Kirk pulled
up and walked in my front door, in my house, right? And Kurt, to be honest, Kurt talked nothing about football. All he talked about is that it'd be a shame on us if he doesn't get his degree. And he talked about the kids that got their degree has a longer career path in life, and the kids that get their degree when they do go to the NFL have a longer career. And that's all he talked about, right? Then Daryl Wilson was my mom's cousin's best friend. It was just like her best friend growing up. It was like, oh,
right. Too many ties for you not to go there.
It was too many ties. Albert Young, my boy Nye played D-O line. Mm-hmm. He committed. Sean Green committed. Me and Sean was like, we were the biggest like competitors growing up in high school.
Okay,
and
dope.
Committing around me that I knew. So I was like, oh, James Townsend commit. So South Jersey boys was heavy. Albert Young, James Townsend, Sean Green, Nair, Amitri, myself. I was like, oh, all the South Jersey boys is here.
Yeah. We taking over.
We take over. You know? And that's my journey. My parents was like, he's gonna take care of you. It's the only person that talked about your degree. And every other coach came in and said, if you wanted to get a degree, it's up to you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's the only school that talked about my future long term and not about football.
That's dope, man. So one thing that I always feel like gets lost in translation is that transition, right? You go from the inner city of Camden, New Jersey. I go from the inner city of Cleveland. And you go, to Iowa City, Iowa. And I think that we're so young, we don't really think about, we think about it because we were there, but we don't notice it. We go to Iowa City, Iowa, where it's a 98% white state. You got a very small percentage of people that look like us. So, we go there, and for me, and you were there, I redshirted in 2007, and it took me months to feel comfortable. Once I got to Hillcrest and I moved in, I wasn't used to getting on a campus school bus and a campus school bus full of all white people, and then maybe at one or two other black people that look like me, and so they know who you are because you're an athlete, but you're still trying to just find your way and find your classes, and you're trying to transition too. So it took me months. I didn't really get comfortable until probably like November, the end of the season. So how was the transition for you? I know you redshirted, once you got on campus. Was it hard? I know you had your boys, so they probably gave you a lot of game. And, I had Arville and Derek and Chris Rowder from Cleveland. So, they kind of helped me out, but I still just kind of felt out of place. And to be honest, bro, I love being honest on my platform. I had never talked or had a conversation with a white female. Like, it was so many new things happening. So I felt like my twang, like, some women didn't really understand what I was trying to say, if I'm saying for show or talking some Ohio lingo. So it took me a couple of months to start to feel comfortable, even though, I felt comfortable in the complex around the guys, but socially it was it took me some time. So kind of rehash that. What was your transition?
The crazy part is, Brian, like, me and you had a lot of similarities. You had a lot of boys around you that could help you feel comfortable. You had Dante and Arvell and Brad, and man, like your whole high school came.
It felt like it at one time. Bruce came with me.
There. Even this name came later on.
Came the year after
Willie came later, right? My boy Willie came later, right? Like, all you was there, like your whole high school. Right. And way about like that South Jersey connection, because crazy thing about South Jersey kids, we all know each other. We read the newspapers, we follow each other, and the crazy thing is, play all those guys too, right? So you're right. I think thinking about my freshman year, coming into Iowa City, redshirting, being on the scout team, and it was tough, bro. Far away from home. My girlfriend at the time was still in New Jersey. I remember it was a tough transition, and for me, and y'all dressed different in Ohio than we did in Jersey, right? Like, still with crazy baggy clothes, 5X tees down to my kneecaps. I look back at these pictures like, what the hell we got on, right?
And it's funny because we dressed like that too in high school, but I was class 2007 in high school. We were like the first class where like the t-shirts, the smaller t-shirts from Walmart, like we were like the first class that started wearing kind of smaller stuff. But
y'all did?
If you saw me in 10th grade in 05, 9th grade in 04, I'm wearing big 4X tees, Jabot jeans, 4X. Like, we dressed the same way, Tim's, Forces. And then we just started to transition to smaller clothes in 2007, 2008.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we used to always mess with y'all, Ohio boys. It's like the Ohio boys got the tight clothes on. What's y'all? And it's funny. Later on in my life, I dressed just like y'all, right?
Right.
To be honest, y'all was setting the trend. Y'all didn't even know it. Yeah. So like baggy clothes, like it was just different. And I think the hardest part for me, and this is when I knew things was different, is that I get into class and the teacher bring up the syllabus or whatnot, and they're calling on kids, and this is a smaller class, not a big setting, calling on kids, and I'm looking around, and they know the answers already, right? Like, how y'all know this? It's like, we just got this,
Right.
like, we just got this.
Right.
I think the biggest part outside of socially was educationally, is even though to be honest, I was top of my class in the city, because I've really focused on my education was super important to me, but I realized how far behind I was from ed, and that hit me more than socially at the time, because I felt like, whoa, I don't know if this is right for me, right? I'm an inner city kid. I don't know if I had the education that I needed, right, for me to be successful in this moment. And I remember talking to my counselor or the sports guys, what do they call it back then? The advisors, right? The advisors and whatnot. I would tell them, it's like, man, like, I think I need help. And here's a couple subjects I need help in. I wrote a lot of papers in high school, but like, you really look at it, I probably plagiarized a lot of my back in high school. And like, now they have systems in place that you couldn't do that. You couldn't snip it without getting quotes and all that type of stuff. So, man, I wrote the way I taught. It was a big struggle for me to write a paper that was grammatically correct, and being able to have the right punctuation that I knew that I needed, right? And my freshman year was super important that I was like, I need as many tutors as I can. And I didn't care how much I had. And the great thing is, I'm glad I redshirted, because it gave me the opportunity to slow down and catch up.
Exactly. Because you don't have that extra semester. Yeah, your fifth year. Yeah.
If you catch up. And here's the crazy thing, LeBron, is that I caught up really quick, because I took I literally had, until my redshirt sophomore year, continue to have tutors because I wanted it. The coaches and everybody, my advisors said, you don't need it no more. I say, I want it. I want to keep it going because I want to graduate in 4 years. At the end of the day, I wanted to graduate in 4 years. And I think that was my biggest struggle. And when you think about, you're right, I've never been with a white girl, never hung out with white girls, right? Like, the cool thing is, growing up in Camden, my little league years, I didn't play in the Camden leagues. I played in the suburban leagues growing up, because my dad wanted me to play for the suburban leagues because he wanted me to have the experience of people that's not like me in Camden. So I always played with teams that was mixed. So going from my background all the way through Little League, I always played with the mixed teams. Went to high school, only played with just the black teams. But it wasn't a big leap socially for me because of what my experience was growing up in Little League.
Right. So you had those experiences to kind of draw from or pull from.
Yes, sir. So it wasn't that hard a transition socially because of that. And I felt like I was a chameleon, man. I tell people all the time, I adapt to my surroundings, and whatever my surroundings is, I'm going to continue to adjust. And I still do that today. And I think a lot of the background, be going to Iowa, having what I did in the Little League has helped me, no matter what people's backgrounds is, I can adapt, and that's going to the school that I went to. And you probably see a lot of that too with yourself. But that was the biggest struggle for me. It was more of the educational piece.
Yeah.
Because 100% was behind. No doubt.
I love that take, man. Yeah, it was definitely more so socially for me. I didn't really struggle academically. So yeah, man, talk about, just that grind and how you kind of climbed the ladder as your college career started to kind of come into fruition. After that red shirt year, you start playing on special teams, your redshirt freshman year, redshirt sophomore year, but you eventually mold yourself into a starter,
Yes.
In 2007. People don't really understand that process of redshirting and becoming a starter at the University of Iowa. people don't understand how much work you do, how much work you put into your body, into your mind, that consistency, that just not really making mistakes as far as being late to anything.
Woo.
I mean, and let's be honest, black players kind of had a shorter string. You know, everybody got a string. We all players, but everybody you make one bad decision, you only got your string only so long. So talk about just those years of kind of continuing to keep going and molding yourself. To a starter, my journey was similar. I played behind All-American first-round pick Adrian Claiborne. So I didn't start any games until my senior year. Didn't start getting meaningful snaps in big games till 2009, 2010. So just that wherewithal, that staying power to just keep going when things aren't kind of going your way. Kind of just talk about that and kind of relive those years a little bit.
I respect your grind, LeBron, and I never got a chance to tell you that, bro. Your journey was extremely difficult. You've always had the physique, the athleticness, and the politics. They could have put you on the side, right? Like they could have put the other side of Adrian, but the politics was they had a guy that didn't look like Adrian on the other end, and Roderick was good too, and Christian Ballard was a monster also. But you could have played. You had Mike. To be honest, the crazy thing is that line in front of you, they all went to the league, didn't they? Every single one of them was like multi-year.
Yeah. Adrian first round, Carl Klug fourth round, Ballard fifth round. Yeah, I mean, we had some freaks, man. I think that thinking about it now, if I had played now, I think that they definitely would have. Phil has a more innovative mind, so he would have stood me up. There's so many things they could have did with me even back then, but back then, as you know, they were so just old school and they didn't change anything. We didn't hardly blitz, just all those things. God bless the dead, but that's just Norman Parker. That's how he was. I think Phil has a more innovative mind, and that's why they make a lot more plays on defense. But that's neither here nor there, man. But I appreciate the flowers, man. But back to you, just molding yourself into finally starting.
And I'll give my ordeal about Phil because it's still the same defense. I'm sitting there calling plays all day, right? You're right, but definitely still the same defense. Yeah. But so my journey was a lot like yours. So I literally was on the scout team for 3 years, bro.
Oh, so you was on scout redshirt freshman and redshirt sophomore.
Sophomore, redshirt year, freshman year again, in my sophomore year. Right? I went from team to starter. That's a huge jump. I didn't go from too deep. I barely played my redshirt sophomore year. I barely was on special teams. I went from scout team to starter. So huge leap, right?
Huge.
But it goes into politics because I was balling on scout team, and they used to call me Rudy and all these kind of different names because I butt off in practice, right? But like looking at my journey, my freshman year, knucklehead, right? Like always late to workouts. I was on that. I was pushing the wood all the time, bro. Like, you know about that. You seen guys push maybe push that day all the time. My fresh knucklehead, and I remember my freshman year. We get to the bowl game. We win this Outback Bowl. I mean, Capital One Bowl. It's the catch with Warren Holloway. It's the biggest thing ever, right?
Yeah.
That before the game happened, we had dinner the night before the game, and I overslept. Knucklehead again, right? Like overslept, and the only one to oversleep. So after the end of game speech of Warren Holloway, Coach Ferentz talk about, we had a great week, yada yada. Outside of one knucklehead that didn't make it in the winning speech, he talks about
after the game,
bro. One knucklehead, right?
Wow.
Right? I'm like, whoa.
You were late to the breakfast? Or what were you late to?
The dinner.
The dinner before you take the bus to the stadium.
The dinner, bro, right? And I remember like
Capital One bowl game
after
dinner.
Game. Last thrown, Drew Tate drew it down. Right? The time's running out. This speech, he brings up me not making it to dinner on time. I'm like,
I know your heart dropped.
I'm done, bro. Like my career at this team is over, right? So kind of goes back to why I probably was on scout team for like the next 2 years. But my sophomore year, I was like, all right, I gained a bunch of weight. Wasn't fast as I used to be because, you know, you eating you getting good food now, right? It's not like when we were in the city.
Oh yeah, that training table, A1.
Train all that. I'll plump up to like 210, right? And Doyle was like, "You need to be about 195." I was like, "Well, how the hell I'm gonna lose weight? I just gained all this weight. I came in at 185, went up to 210, needed me to lose weight." So that off season, I struggled at first, and my redshirt freshman year, struggle. Never got into shape. That's prevented me. I had good practices, all that, but I was slow. I felt my body wasn't right where it needed to be. So my red shirt sophomore year, I was like, I'm changing everything around me. I'm not eating fast food. I'm only eating healthy food. That now, right? That spring ball, I balled, right? I'm like, I'm about to be too deep, guaranteed, right? Balling, having a good year. I'm like, all right, come out, summer camp, come out. I have a good summer camp. I'm like, everybody's like, bro, you gonna be too deep, bro? Like everybody running too deep. Everybody dap me, bro. You in there, right?
Yeah.
Roster come out for the first game. The who travels, not on it. Didn't get on the bus, right? Didn't get on the bus. First week, I'm practicing with the scout team again.
This, what, 2007 or 2007?
06, right?
Okay.
06, I'm on a practice team again.
Third year on campus.
At this point, I'm like, I'm out of here, bro. I'm telling my boy, transfer. I gotta get up out of here. This ain't for me, right? And I tell my dad this, and he was like, if you come home, you ain't living with me, right? That's my dad's thing. I'm like, what?
Right.
So where I live?
Right.
He's like, you ain't coming home. You better figure it out.
And
like,
not to cut you off, just a quick snippet. People don't understand that now. The college athletes obviously have the transfer portal. Shit ain't going your way. Hop in the transfer portal. You ain't got to sit out a year. But back then, it was so different. Like you had to sit out a year. You weren't really sure what universities would be interested in you if you did leave. And also, I think it has something to do with how we grew up and how we were raised. It's like, oh, you experienced some turbulence. You experienced some stuff not going your way. Now you gonna run now. I think, you know, and that was kind of the reason why I didn't leave either. I just kept telling myself like, oh no, like, I'm experiencing this. This person don't believe in me. This person, my slate clean. They still hating on me. I'm gonna prove them wrong. So yeah. I just wanted to make that quick caveat, that small caveat.
It's a huge caveat because you're right. Because kids today will run. And I was thinking about it, and I talked to my parents, and to be honest, I looked into it. And if I wanted to transfer within the Big Ten, because like I said, Indiana came after me, Penn State came after me. I was like, when you look at it in Big Ten, it's a 2-year. You can't play for 2 years if you would transfer in the conference.
Yeah. It did used to be like that. Yep.
The 2-year hiatus where you couldn't play.
It was 1 year if it was just Division I. You're right.
1 year just Division I. If you went down a level, is the only way you can play right away. And the coaches had to accept your transfer. Now, Coach Ferentz could have said, "No, I don't accept this transfer." I was ineligible if he want to test it, right?
Crazy.
And
it used to be so crazy. I just watched the receiver from Iowa transfer to Purdue. Literally entered the transfer portal and signed a scholarship to Purdue like 2 weeks later.
It's crazy.
Don't gotta sit out. Gonna play against Iowa next year,
bro. If we had that, I'd have dipped back then, right?
Of course.
I would have dipped because I didn't see myself playing, right? So, like I said, I'm right. So mid-season, I want to start traveling with the team and being a part of the journey and all that type stuff. And we playing Syracuse that year. I went up too deep. I don't know how the hell I ended up too deep. Right? I'm in too deep finally. I'm like, oh, too deep, baby. Syracuse went to like 13 overtimes. I don't remember how many
I remember that was it. That was in New York, right?
In New York, in Syracuse, right?
I remember that, yeah.
Backed up Marcus Pascal. I was free safety at that time. I wound up going to strong safety. Marcus Pascal, something happened with his shoulder or something. He got hurt. He had a stinger or something, right? He was out for like 12 plays or something crazy like that, right? And I'm in there, right?
There you are, in there.
I'm in the game, bro. Like, and it's wild, right? And I'm in the game. I make a couple tackles, and coach, I make a couple weird mistakes, you know, like footing, and you know, Coach Parker is very detailed. At the end of the day, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't jeopardize the team. I made plays. They didn't score while I was in. 12 plays, like confidence. Yeah. That's when I can. It's when I got in the game. I was like, it's just football.
Still football, right?
that's the first time I felt like, bro, it's just I got in the game. It's like these dudes, I tackle dudes like it don't even hurt. And like this dude ain't bigger than me.
Right. That's right. That's the best thing. Like, going from high school to college, just getting that in-game experience. Obviously, we practice so hard, at the University of Iowa, but just getting that in-game experience, man, it's invaluable.
True. And Iowa is all about how you practice, how you play, right?
Exactly.
And I didn't understand that back then. Practice was like, it's practice, right? Like we don't get that. And so coming out of that year, I still wasn't even too deep technically, right? The spring came in, I was still third, and I don't remember who was over me back then. You know what? Jordan Bernstein was technically over me that year.
In 2007?
Jordan Bernstein, Lance Tillerson was pushing me every day, right? And these dudes were better athletes than me, 100%, right? Lance was like 220, Rock Diesel, right?
Bernie was 215, 220 coming in as a true freshman.
And ran like a freak, bro, right? Like,
yeah, he was a freak.
Athlete, crazy weight room. And the only difference is that I made less mistakes than him. And that year, I was all about film. My body was finally right. I felt faster. I was making plays in practice. And I felt confidence. My confidence was better. And I knew Jordan and Lance was better than me, right? Like athletes, right? Like just, I seen their athletic ability. And I was like, all right, I got to separate myself. And I remember Miguel Merrick was my role model, right? Like, man, he played the position before me. I called Miguel, right? Miguel hit me up like, bro, I don't care what they do. Force him to play you, right? That's all he kept saying. Force him to play you. Ball out every practice. That's all Miguel. Every weight room, every rep. I need you to win everything, right? And he hung up on me. I was like, Miguel, what? This dude just hung up on me? Like, bro, that's all I got to tell you, right? I mean, he gave me the full satisfaction of understanding that I had to do something different or I was going to be the same player, right? And I told Miguel this way back in the day, and the light flipped, bro. And that camp, I barely made a mistake. And every film, coach was saying, look at Dalton. He's sprinting every play. He's hustling every play. He's doing this. And I was still second string. Jordan was still young, but he had all the athletic ability in the world, and that's why they wanted to play him, because they see his potential, right? Like,
right.
And Jordan wanted to get hurt. Some weird accident for Jordan. And Lance was just like Jordan. He was just young. He was making a lot of mistakes. I wasn't making mistakes. From scout team, bro, getting in just Syracuse game to start. Like that first game, we're playing Soldier Field, Northern Illinois,
2007.
I just great game, man. And my first 9 games that year was just awesome. And I started feeling myself, to be honest. I started feeling myself. In those last couple games that I had, I didn't play up to my best potential. And I had some good games, some bad games. It was inconsistent, to be honest.
Okay. Ending 2007.
07. Started every game. Didn't miss a game. Came out a couple plays. So 08.
I remember 07 we ended up being, I think, 6-6, right? Because remember we had that like week to 2 week period where we had to wait to see if we would get picked for a bowl game.
Yep.
And I don't think the seniors had to practice because you are in your last semester. But bro, when I say those practices was hell. I'm talking about 3-hour practices. They just laid it on us because we had all this talent. We only ended up going 6-6. So those practices were very hard. Good for me, coming out of that redshirt year. But
yes, sir.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I remember that.
They guys those 3 years before that, right? Like that was me, right? And I remember y'all year coming in, man. Like y'all had the best recruit. That was probably
our class was class, bro. So many people would say that, but like between our class and 05, they had Moyaki and a lot of guys, but our class, like if everybody would have stayed together and everyone would stay there, like hands down, Brian Balaga, Mike Daniels, Marvin McNutt, Desmond Moses, Deontay Morrow. Yeah, bro.
It's other players that wind up not. Arvell, you.
People forget Brian Balaga was in my class because he was like the first lineman ever in Iowa history to do 3 and out. He literally went there 3 years and went first round. So
Kyle Calloway, y'all had in y'all class. Was Dan Dorn in y'all class?
No. He was. I think he was 05. But yeah, man.
05. that was competing. Those two classes was competing.
Exactly.
I was 04.
Exactly. Okay.
04,
Okay.
5 came out, and they were good, but y'all was better.
Yeah.
From Florida, fullback.
Yeah. Oh, Javon Pugh.
Pugh, bro, y'all had this ball, man. Pugh.
He came in as a freshman looking like an NFL running back, man. Specimen.
Swole up, bro. Swole up, right?
And 500 easy.
Jacoby Coleman.
Yeah, Javon was different.
I mean, y'all just had so many players, bro.
We did. I forgot about Javon.
That class, was Tyler in your class? Was Tyler your?
Yep.
So,
Tyler
Wilson,
right? And Tyler Sash. Yeah. God bless the dead too, man. Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah,
man. Yeah. It was a lot of us.
Y'all class 05s. 05s was good, but y'all was better. I'm just gonna be out there. Right?
Yeah.
The rankings was probably better 05 from what they said, but talent. I watched the players. I watched y'all.
Exactly.
Y'all was DJK. Was DJK in your class?
No, he was class before. He was 06.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, y'all was breaking weight room records as freshmen. I was like, what created these humans?
Yeah, we was different, and we was like, we was competitors. I think that was really big too. We was competitors. We would compete in everything, man. So,
bro, I remember, and this is when I knew I was like, I gotta really push hard. 07, right? I started that whole year. And Sash was a good athlete, and I'll tell you how he wound up getting my spot, and we'll talk through that.
Yeah.
But I remember I'm running on kickoff. We're doing a kickoff drill. Adrian Claiborne and Ballard.
Kick return.
No, this is kickoff, right? This is
okay.
They're next to me. I'm in the middle of these two, right?
Yeah.
And I'm about to show these dudes off, right? Like I'm about to go get it on this one, right? Like,
you thought you was. Ballard had the wheels.
Bro! I look at Claiborne, was like, man, it was like this, bro. Like, he was right there. I was like, this dude like 290.
Right. And
right
Ballard was like he came in freshman year, 275, true freshman, but he could roll. I'm talking about 4 like roll when that turnover speed hit.
So Ballard was like, so Adrian was like this. Ballard was like right here. I was like, I look on my shoulder, I was like, this dude right here?
Yeah, we had some freak athletes, man. Yeah.
Different. That's when I knew. And I was rolling that day. I felt I got fast, right? Not fast enough, obviously. So my senior year come, I started the first
I'm about to say, like, before, they made the switch, but like, what was your mindset going into your senior year? I mean, because let's be honest, bro, every team meeting, what do they talk about? Guys, they talk about super dope stories. They talk about guys starting on the scout team, becoming a 2-year starter, 3-year starter. What do they always say? If you're a 2-year starter or 3-year starter or 1-year starter at Iowa, you're essentially penciled in to the league. You at least get a shot. You may not get drafted, but you at least get a chance. So you already started 1 year, you're going into your second year. I know in your mind you like, yo, this is my time. Let me go in here, dominate my senior year. It's my second year starting. And then, see what's going on with the league. So, like, that was your mindset going into 08?
100%. Extremely confident, right? And spring ball, I ball. I already know the plays. I'm making all the plays, and I'm having a great spring. I'm hitting, balling, tackling. I was like,
I remember.
And I was like, good Lord, they moved Jordan to corner. I was like, thank you. Move him to corner because that dude was real.
Right. They didn't move him back to safety our senior year. He started like 8 games at safety and like had like 70 tackles.
He was insane. But when he moved the corner, I was like, thank God I got a shot still. Right? Because I was anybody was going to take my spot. It was Jordan, right? Like I was like,
he was different.
He was different, right?
Flying around.
Thank God they moved him to corner. Thank you, Jesus. So I'm still going to start this year. And like I said, I got a little cocky my last couple games. So that was my motivation. It's like, I'm not going to have what my last couple games was going to be what I was going forward. I'd seen it. I want to watch the films like, Harold, like you ain't playing in your best you. Your first half, I was starting. Second half, I was up and down, right? Okay. And then I was like, this offseason, I am just no fast food, no nothing. I'm just balling. Like I ain't going out, party, drinking, none of that. I'm just committed to football. I graduated. I only had 2-3 classes. Football was my life. Mm-hmm. It was easy, right?
Yeah.
And then I knew it was where the black players had a short lease, right? We played a first game against Maine, right? I make like 2 mistakes, right? I bid on a play action, and they threw it over my head. They didn't score. Incomplete pass. And then it was like I'm fighting with this guy, and we're wrestling, but the play's over there. He get tackled. It's like I'm fighting this guy. The whole film session, that's all he, right? It was like we won the game against Maine, but it was all the critique was around me, right? And I remember me and Tay was close at that time because he was always my roommate for like games and stuff. Like tapped me in the film room, like, bro, like what's going on?
Right.
Like you only made 2 mistakes. Why is he like on you like that? Right.
And you know, not to cut you off, just real quick, being older now, being more mature, understanding how the world works. Was it not a ploy? They already knew what they were gonna do. So
they
already knew what they were gonna do. So okay, bet we're gonna go to this film session. He only made 2 mistakes. Okay, I'm gonna harp on him to fuck him, basically, to make him think that, oh, he's like this terrible player, and now it's like my position is up in the air. But they already knew what they were going to do, and that's what I'm talking about, the political game. Fans and people who are never in that room, they don't understand what these coaches do. It's deeper than football. But it's keep different. Going. I'm sorry. So I had to get that out.
You're 100%, bro. Like, I seen it right on the wall. And like I said, Tay seen it too. Like I said, Tay tapped me like, bro, like, what's going on? You a baller. He kept saying, like, you a baller. Don't let them say that shit to you, right? Tay, I'm like, bro, he a young boy at that time.
Yeah. You like 19.
19. I'm like, bro, I got you. I've been through this already. I'm good. I appreciate it. You know? He's like, nah, I don't like that. He was mad for me, right?
Tay Larry. Yeah, I had Tay over here. He you know, he went in. We was there for about 3 hours.
I said, and Tay mad for me, bro. He was like, I don't like that. I don't respect that. You the man, Harold. He pumping me up, right? He feeding me up, right? And I was like, bro, I got it. No worries. I've been through this before. I know how Parker thinks. It's a part of Parker's game, right? Like Coach Parker never tell you how it is. He insinuates things and go around and never tell you how you really are, where you at, where you stand. After that that film session, went to Coach Parker's like, what's going on, man? Oh, we're always evaluating guys. We want to give everybody a good shot. I think Tyler deserved the shot. I was like, Tyler. I was like, what do you mean? Like, he never.
And at the time, I believe Sass was like 4th string, right, or 3rd or 4th. Like, he wasn't even in the mix. He wasn't in the mix. He wasn't in a 2 deep.
Brett Greenwood was my free safety, but he was like 4th string. And much respect, God rest his soul. Tyler was awesome.
Yeah. Great guy. And it's not even really about him. It's just about the politics.
Back to the politics, right? Right. And I'm the only black safety. Bradley Fletcher was the corner. Amar Spivey was the other corner, and Brett Greenwood, right? And like I said, at the end of the day, I played great. I played great that game. It was two plays, right? And I'm sitting there. I had to go back and watch the film. Like, what is he seeing? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, right. I made plays and I made mistakes, and it's crazy. He graded me like an 82 or something crazy like that game. And I was like, I'm looking at all the stats. It's like, he's grading me on the foot. If I put my foot wrong, it was just regular weird.
Yeah.
Against
right.
On my scorecard. So
weird minuses.
So what they used to give you after the game, you get a scorecard of like you played, how you did.
I remember. I got him.
Right? You get the scorecard. I'm looking at my I was like, I got this. I took a picture of it. It's like, I gotta keep watching this film to see what I was doing. So I was critical of myself. I was like, all right, I see. In my mind, like you just said, I told myself I had a bad game.
Exactly.
So week practice come. I'm starting the whole week. Tyler was second D, and it was like the 3rd game of the season. And they come, Coach Ferentz come and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you." I was like, "Okay, Coach." He's like, "Hey, we're gonna give Tyler a shot." It's like, why? What did I do wrong? We're 3-0. Right. We're winning still. Like, right. Why would you take me out of the
I remember
game?
Because we had beat Maine, Iowa State, and Florida International, right? That year. Yeah, I remember.
3-0, bro. Like, there's no reason to pull me out the game. They wind up playing. So they started taking my snaps a little bit in Iowa State game.
Iowa State, yeah. Because I remember that's when Saz got his first pick, I think. Or
first pick, end zone.
Right? Yeah.
Like, and here's still the good thing about Tyler, he was always around the ball. He always got. And you look at my career path, I didn't get a lot of interceptions. I had a lot of tackles. Didn't get a lot of interceptions, and things didn't. happened the way it happened for him, and kudos to him. But that was pretty much the end of my starting career at Iowa. Then my birthday, my 21st birthday, I get a public intox fight. They call it. Never got in a fight. 21st birthday, was playing Illinois. I didn't play, so I went from starter to special teams. Started playing special teams.
Oh, this 2008 when your senior year when they had Rashad Mendenhall and Juice Williams and all. Yeah.
The Mendenhall was the year before. 07.
Oh, 07. Yeah, you're right. Oh wait, was at Illinois.
At Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, my junior year, we beat the Rose Bowl team. We beat that. Yeah. I had a great game.
Yeah.
Talking about that up and down here.
So after that 08 Illinois game, you got a public intox. I don't remember that. Okay.
So Adrian was there. It was my 21st birthday. Adrian was there. Sean was there. Everything, right? So I get in an argument with my wife today and girlfriend back then. It was just a normal argument. It was not crazy, but oh boy, grabbed her ass, right? So I'm arguing with him, like, bro, don't disrespect her. Never got in a fight, right? We're outside of this bar in Sycamore, because back then, Coach Ferentz' son got a public intox that year. Same year, right? Yeah. Just got to mention, I get the same thing, kicked off the team, right? And back to the story. Touch my girl ass. I'm upset about the situation, and I just approach the situation. I get tased from behind, not fighting anybody, right? Never got in a fight, never got in a fist fight, argued, choke, nothing, right? And right, like I'm like, I get tased. I'm like, what the hell is that? I grab it and look, it's just wired. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what happened, right?
Yeah.
And around, they're like, stop resisting. It hit me in the chest with the taser again. I go down, zap me, right? And I look up. Everybody's like, what did he do? He didn't do anything wrong. And I get arrested.
I don't remember none of it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, man. Go down to the police station. Don't know what happened. I don't know why I'm in this car. And the cop told me out. I remember it was like yesterday. I get down to the police station. He's like, I was intimidated. You scared me. I was like, I scared you. You tased me in my back, man. I wasn't even facing you. What?
And that's so typical, man. Don't know you from a can of paint. Haven't even chose to have a conversation with you, see who you are, see if you well spoken, see if you was brought up the right way. Just all off looks, man. And that's the part that people don't talk about being a black man, especially in a community like that.
That happened like it was yesterday, and I still picture it in my mind. It's like it was yesterday. And once he found out who I was, he was like, "Man, I was timid. I didn't even know it was you, Harold. I'm sorry." Apologizing to me, right?
Wow.
And I was like, I'm up here in arms, like, you just ruined my life, man.
They don't understand. They don't understand, bro.
Like that, right? Like that life. And
so,
I was so
you said they Ferentz kicked you off the team that year? Oh wait.
I got suspended indefinitely, and I approached Coach Ferentz like, your son got the same thing. Well, that's a different. He told me it was a different situation. That was his example. Hey. You need to work. That was a different situation. I was like, what? I was like, it's the exact same thing.
Exact same thing.
Exactly. Public intox, right? At the end of the day, that's all I got was a disorderly conduct in public intox. I wasn't fighting. They wound up dropping all those charges because I wasn't doing that, And a public intoxication was the charge they got me with. And I get out. So I go back to coach, and I'm trying to get ready for pro day. And I was like, coach, like, I haven't done it. Like, obviously, my freshman year, I had some ups and downs, but I've been a model citizen at Iowa. I worked my butt off, Right. Got to the pro day.
Continue to unpack that. Like you said, you got the pro day. But before we talk about pro day, because we kind of skipped like the 08 season, and well, not the full 08 season, but something big right now is mental health, depression, black men understanding, what therapy is and things like that. So just talk about your mindset after they made the switch, still having to go to class, still having to be you were a new father at the time.
Yes,
so
sir.
Still trying to like figure out life. If you could take a deep dive back into just navigating all those things, having to deal with all that stuff all at the same time. Was you just taking a day at a time? I know you feel overwhelmed. That, like, you know what I mean? I know you wanted to maybe lash out or just go crazy on somebody? Like what, like just kind of unpack those feels if you can, because I know that
Oh
a
man,
long time ago.
you know what? Like it doesn't feel like a long time ago, to be honest. The emotions is raw. It was raw for a while. I would say, and I'll talk about my afterlife journey of how I got to where I was. But in that moment, it was my darkest days, man, because I knew, like you said, normally you're a starter for Iowa, you're going to play in the league or get a shot at least. And agents was coming after me. After 07, I had all these agents coming after me. Agencies always calling me, trying to think about like when I'm going to sign, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do for the off season, all that good stuff. And like I said, I knew I had an up and down. Like the end of the last 3 games was probably not my greatest games, but I didn't have horrible games, right? Like, but it wasn't great, right? And it was good though. Like we won most of those games, and I graded out pretty well still. But it wasn't up to my standards of what I played early on in the season. That's why I felt that way. And when I think back about 08, man, like when they first told me mad depression, I was sulking every day, feeling bad for myself. And that first game that I didn't start, that was the when they started like pulling me out of the game is when I first started feeling like
that feeling,
hurt, man, hurt. Absolutely hurt, and I felt like I was back in my years where I was back in playing scout ball, because I felt that low where I felt like I'm back in that situation. I worked my butt off to get here. I just started 14 games in a row. Didn't have an injury that pulled me out, and it was more around the politics of, like you said, they knew that they wanted to play a younger player. Because he was going to have more potential long term than worrying about what I was performing at right now. And they felt like I hit my ceiling, and he had the potential to continue to pass me. And so they already made the decision back then. It's like they were going to beat me up and pull me out that game. And you know what? Like, remember Mitch King. And here's the difference how my experience was with Doyle versus the rest of everybody else, right? And that's why I never comment on how Doyle made me feel. Doyle came up to me, because I've been into the system, man. I was all about the system. I didn't fight the Target way. I was all in, right? And that's those type guys, you were on his team.
Exactly.
My experience was different, right? Like a lot of other guys that they questioned the system or didn't agree with their antics and how they treated you. Those are the guys who had the biggest concerns.
Yeah, and we all know, and that's why I always tell people it's individually based, because we all know Doyle had his guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had his guys, and he also had his guys that he picked on. And let's be honest, I was one of his guys. I took pride in the weight room. I grew,
Me too.
Into a Big Ten player. And out of that, all that hard work, you can attest to that. But I would be remiss not to admit that what we saw with our eyes, right? Which was him. Literally, you knew that it was certain guys he didn't like, and it's just complete disrespect every day, nitpicking.
All the time.
I mean, and so, and I that's why
gestures.
I made sure I was one of the guys that said something that came out and talked about my experience, because I'll be doing a disservice, to the guys that did get mistreated by him, at least.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying that he didn't do that. I just wasn't one of those guys.
Right, exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I seen it. My boy Nye, he's called him fat ass and just belittle him and disrespect him all the time. And that's because Nye originally, when he first came to Iowa with me, we came in the same class, same high school. Nye wasn't brought into the Target way. He wasn't bit into the working, the lifting weights. He was a bigger guy, right? And later on in life, at the end of his career at Iowa, he tried to buy in, but it was too late. Doyle already had his stigma against him. You get what I'm saying? And he didn't get the respect that he needed. And when I look at pure talent, that dude should have started, right? And he was too deep. That whole same year that I started, he was too deep. We were in this together, like, bro, we in here, right?
Right.
But going back, I remember Doyle, and I was one of Doyle's guys. Like I said, I bought into the system just like you, LeBron. I was all about the weight room, working my butt off. Anything I needed to do, I was extra in the weight room. Doyle used to kick me out the weight room. He's like, dog, you're killing your workout. He's always telling me, you're killing your workout. You're gonna overexert yourself. It's like, nah, bro. I'm gonna keep working because my time is now, and
Right.
I'm about to take care of my family for life. I'm in this weight room.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Doyle coming up to me. It's like, you got to get your head out your ass. He's like, you're a winner, Harold. And you got to show Coach Ferentz that you're a winner, right? So after that conversation with Coach Doyle is when I got out my feelings and said, you know what? Like, I may never play this game again a day in my life, bro. I'm going to just enjoy every moment, and I'm going to work my butt off at every practice, and I'm going to come with a bunch of energy at I'm an energy guy anyway, and I'm going to come with a bunch of energy at practice. And I remember mid-season, Mitch King come up to me and say, bro, if I was going through your situation, I would never be how you are. He's like, man, I got so much respect for you. Yeah. And I remember him calling an all-players meeting, and Mitch came out and was like, man, we need more guys like Harold Dalton, right? And Mitch don't even know how much that meant to me, man, back in the day, and how much it impacted me as a human, because he didn't have to step up and stick up for me in that moment. And it was a players only meeting. It didn't even matter because the coaches didn't matter in that point. But he said that to me, man. And like that rest of that year, man, I came in, worked my butt off. I wound up starting a couple more games because Sash had a couple concussions and stuff like that. And every game we was in, we won. I graded really high still. And up to that Illinois game, that was probably my lowest of my low. Getting kicked off the team, man. I had no direction. To be honest, I dropped out of school.
Okay. Oh, you had graduated that May.
I graduated that May, and like I said, I only had 3 classes, so I just stopped coming to school. I was just in a really bad state. Yeah. And going back to saying I wanted to go to pro day, and they didn't let me work out with Doyle. I had to work out on my own.
Wow. So they didn't allow you to train with Doyle for pro day. What? I mean, did they say why? Because
I was suspended. So I went to pro day.
That's just, you know, that's not setting you up for success, because everyone knows Coach Ferentz, coach in the NFL. What he says is king. You know, all you know, all 32 teams always came to our pro day. If he said, okay, man, you know, I understand you made a mistake. You've been a real good program guy. Let me make sure you get the best training. You know, you give yourself the best chance at pro day, and let's see if we can get you somewhere, right? And that's the thing, man. Like, I think Kirk Ferentz has definitely opened up now after so many guys came out about their individual stories, man. But it just seemed like he was kind of cold back then, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
He was
like
cold, man.
And like you said, like black players just had a smarter leash, and it was like you make one mistake, there was no empathy. I can see if you make 3, 4 mistakes and you continue to mess up, but just no empathy. So yeah, I'm really sorry, you know, man to man, eyes to eyes, that you had to go through that, bro. Because and that's the thing, and that's why I'm glad I started this, to rehash through these kind of things, because a lot of that stuff I don't even remember, and that's what I try to explain to fans, you know, whenever the time is right, that players, we're so knee deep and entrenched in our own, what we're going through, trying to get on the field. At that time in 2008, I'm coming up my redshirt year. I'm trying to get on the field, special teams, whatever. Trying to get stronger, all that. I was still on the red shirt lifting card in season.
Yep.
But I played
heavyweights
too. Yeah, so heavyweights. I'm always sore. So I couldn't even really kind of be there for you. And we was always cool. You know, we would sit at the training table together, make jokes, all that.
Yes, sir.
But I was never even able to kind of be there for you, kind of be that shoulder, because I'm 19 trying to figure my thing out. Like, it's just like, that's why it's like guys almost can't even really be there for each other like we should, because we just trying to get through our situation. We trying to make sure we stay afloat, we don't mess up. Like,
it's
crazy. And I can remember in 2008, I got caught after curfew. I think at like Spoko or something like that.
Yeah.
But luckily, Mitch King, I was actually with Mitch.
Right.
I was with Mitch at Spoko. So we got caught together with a couple other guys.
Yep. So you was good.
So we had to do like log rolls that Sunday, but it was like I was good because Mitch got caught too.
Mitch
was the guy. Like,
Mitch was the man.
Mitch was the man. I'm, you know, it's crazy. That's why I like kind of reliving these situations, man, because people we don't get to do this. You know what I mean?
No, this is great, man. And I've talked about this story with multiple people in my career path and my life path. I mean, and even career path, and people ask me what happened, what's the situation, because if you Google me, the rest comes up, right? And I'm like, that's not real. That's fake. That didn't happen. You know, I'm trying to defend myself. And at the end of the day, I got to the point where it's like, I don't care. I was like, let's talk about it. You've seen it. Let's talk about it.
Has anyone ever asked you about that in an interview?
No.
Okay. Okay.
The good thing is it never came up from my work life because I've represented myself very well, just being a hard worker and being about people and integrity and being always honest. I'm always upfront with people about the situation. I don't hide it. If you want to talk about it, if you did want to talk about it, you can. Never came up on an interview or anything like that. And I remember like it was yesterday when I went, because here's where I went wrong more than anything with that particular situation is that I pled guilty. I just wanted to go get it over with. Like, yeah, I'm guilty. Right. Public intox. I was guilty. I was drunk. It was my 21st birthday. Yes, sir. You know, but then people looked at it where it was, I wasn't smart about it. I was like, I wasn't trying to defend it because I was guilty. I was drunk in public. Yes, I was. But that didn't help my case of when Coach Franz came out with the pro days. Like, you shouldn't have pled guilty. It's like, but I was drunk in public. That your son was too. You know, it is what it is. And I guess they had the ability and the finances to fight it when I didn't. Right. You know?
And again, resources. They have the resources. They understand that legal language to make sure he's out of it, to keep it under the public eye, to make sure there's no hindrance on his career.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Again, and I call that white privilege. You know,
it is very
honest, being straight up. You know what I mean? So
that is very privileged, and I'm not going to be ignorant to that. That was the privilege, and that was the difference. Yeah. And you look back at it, that's the difference. The only difference between his son and myself. The only difference.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
Two more things.
That was my end of my career, man.
Yeah, I'm about to say 2 more things. I know we've been on wax for a long time, man. Talk about the day. Was it like, for me, it was kind of like a transition, but it was still a day. It was December 4th, 2017. Talk about the day you knew that you were done with the game, that you would never strap it up. I noticed because I'm a dreamer. I'm a Pisces, man. So, you know, I didn't get any NFL opportunities after the draft. Kept working out, kept training, ended up getting a few workouts, like tryouts that season. Then I played 2 years of arena football just to get some film that my agent could shop around. Had a couple more workouts, but eventually it just ultimately it never worked out. I never got to stay in the building. I stepped in a few buildings, trained, wore the gear, but I never got to put on the helmet and actually compete. You know what I mean? Yeah. So talk about the day you knew you were done with the game. Was it a day? Was it a month? Was it a transition? Like kind of unpack that a little bit. Like a game of a 15 to 20 year relationship, well, a 15-year relationship at the time that you had with football. It's
maybe 17. Yeah, I started football when I was 6. It was a long path, 13, 14 years of playing ball.
Did you ever think about it, or you was like, oh no, I got a family to take care of?
It was always the grind, man. I grind like you for a couple years. Kevin Ross, like I said, he's the DB coach for the Buccaneers right now. Put me in a lot of positions to get opportunities. I worked out for a bunch of teams. I strapped on a helmet, but it was for a workout. Okay. Right? I strapped on I was in San Francisco. I was in Cincinnati. I worked out for British Columbia. I thought I was one of the Canada football.
Yeah. I tried out for almost all the CFL teams. I tried it all, man.
Yeah, bro, you had to pay $150 to go work out for them. I was like, that's crazy, right? And I was like, y'all, I got to pay to work out? I was like, that's wild. So I did all that.
Yeah, was it like a day? Did you just kind of ease into it? I tell you what,
every GM that I worked out for always brought up that situation. What happened? You know, are you a bad guy? Like, I know where you from. Like, they were asking me some crazy questions. Like, we gave you $1 million. Will you be a drug dealer? Like, what? Crazy questions like that, right?
Wow. Yeah.
That's where I'm from. I was like, man, I am not an epitome of my environment. I've been a model citizen at Iowa versus this one situation, and I'm not gonna allow y'all to put slander on my name and my father's name, and I'm named after my father.
Exactly.
And I think it's really important that people understand that you're going to go through situations in life and don't allow these GMs and these personnel people to put a perspective on who they think you are based off of what happened in your past. Mm-hmm. And it's up to you to continue to move forward. And it was 2009. it was summertime 2009 where I was like, I'm done. And the reason why I knew I was done, it was like the game ain't giving me back the love that I'm putting into it.
Right.
And the grind is hard. I'm not getting the looks that I truly could. And I looked at Arena, and to be honest, I was more around like, if I'm going to put my body into this atmosphere, I got to be compensated for it.
Exactly. And that's why for me, after that second year, I didn't even get through the whole season. I played 10 games, and I was like, man, I'm like, you just don't get compensated enough for the risk that you're taking, you know, out
yes,
there.
sir. And that's when I knew I was done, man. I was at my all-time low, most depressed I've ever been in my life. I didn't have no identity. My whole identity was football.
Identity crisis. I went through the same thing, bro.
It's crazy, right? Like, I didn't know who I was. And working a 9 to 5, I was like, 9 to 5? A job, like a regular person? I didn't know what that means. You know, I never really did it. You know, I worked summer jobs and stuff like that. But even my summer jobs, it's like, oh, you ain't got to work that Harold. You know what I mean? Right. You just go get this check. And that's pretty much how it was. Right. So when I first started working for Target, overnight logistics, I'm working from 10 to 9. I mean, I didn't know who I was. Right. And working overnight, you eat weird. I lost a ton of weight right away, right? And I remember going home with parents, like, are you okay? Like, you lost so much weight? You went to this big muscular guy to this really slim guy? And I told him, it's like, I'm in a dark place. I don't know who I am. Don't know what I want to do. I don't even know if this is right for me. My boss at that time gave me a real perspective around, like, that was a glimpse of your life. And his name's Kurt Grable. He was like, this is a glimpse of your life. This is not who you are. You got a bright future in front of you. Keep grinding, and you can do whatever you want to do with this company. Since that, man, he's been my I tell people all the time, he's a big impact on my life. Don't look like me. Older white guy. One of the best, and I had a lot of good bosses at this company that I'm at. Best boss I've had when it came to me being in my most vulnerable place. Right. And that small conversation that he had with me, and obviously my father had a lot of great conversations with me in the in between, but he don't know how much of an impact that made on me in that moment. And
people don't understand. People don't understand. Not to cut you off. When you're in that vulnerable state, and you've had all these accomplishments, and you've done so many great things. When you're in that vulnerable state, something really small can either ascend you up, like in your case, or it could diminish you or spiral you even further down into that second place. When you're in that vulnerable space, man. So that's super dope, and I'm glad that you were able to experience that one small little caveat of statement that was able, where you was able to ascend. So that's great.
Yes, sir. And when you think about mental health and what has helped me with that particular portion, because after that, I still had a lot of days where I'm tearing up and stressed out and wish that day never happened to me. And at the end of the day, that's a part of my life. That happened, right? It is what it is. I remember that day when I got tased, like yesterday. I remember pulling it out of my back, but that doesn't define me. That doesn't define you. That doesn't define any of us. We are this is a glimpse of our life, and don't allow sports to be everything who you are. It's a portion of your life, not who you are as a human. And the better we find that out as humans, that's just a part of who we are that made us who we are today, and not who I am. The better you'll be able to cope with it, because we put so much on ourselves because we want to be the provider for our family, get our mom out of the hood and all that. You don't have to play sports to do that. It's so many other revenues and opportunities and learning about finance, money, portfolios, all that stuff that's going to help you transcend to a great human being. And even what you're doing, LeBron, like, this is amazing, bro. Like, I told you, man, I appreciate when you asked me this, I was like, bro, I've been watching you for a while, man. I've watched a bunch of these, bro. You had a couple female athletes on this, and like, it's just cool what you're doing, man.
Yes, sir.
And even in your you went through this whole movie thing I seen, or commercial. You was doing something. I was like, I don't know what he's doing, but he on the grind. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate this opportunity. I really do.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate it. And it's funny that you brought that up. When I was going through my identity crisis, 2017, 18, after I knew I was done playing, I had to take a deep dive and figure out what brought me joy other than football. Honestly, because I started playing at 8, and at 27 I was done. So, diving just in my childhood, I used to do creative arts things. Like, I was like in a dance group, acting plays, win like spelling bees and stuff like that. So that's kind of what got me in the storytelling space. And it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. If I'm posting a podcast, this is dope because we're telling our authentic stories. We're not
Yes, sir.
acting or writing anything fictional. These are real things that happen in real time. Hey, I'm still auditioning. You know, I booked a small little commercial here and there. You know,
I see you, bro.
but it's all fun. It's all fun, man. That's what brings me joy. And I think when I first got into this space, a lot of former athletes like ourselves, like, Brian, I feel like, or he hosted a podcast. You know, some people thought it was weird. You know what I mean? Because most of us, you know, we get in with a great company and we start our family and things like that, man. So people just, I guess they didn't really speak the language. And so that's kind of what I learned through football too, is just authentically be yourself. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever brings you joy. I mean, I work a corporate job now. I'm a coding manager, but this what brings me joy. So like, I knew we had this interview tonight. And so the whole time I'm working, I'm doing all my reports and doing all my responsibilities, but I'm thinking about us talking. Because
we're going to talk about.
Exactly. Because
you did your research too.
Of course.
You did your research outside of us just playing together. You can tell you did your research based off of when I played.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
The years that I started and all that good stuff. And obviously we was there in the moment. But I tell you what, man, what brings me joy today is raising my kids. My son is good Lord. He's much better than me at football already. And he's 9, and I had to take a step back and think about that. So, oh yeah, my wife is a D1 athlete too. He better be better than me.
Right. Those genetics, you got the good genetics.
Right. He better be better than me. And it was cool to, I'm coaching him to being a part of his process, but teaching him that this is not who you are.
Exactly. At an early age, and that's so important.
Yes, sir.
So important.
Yes, sir.
So, last question. What would you say is Harold Dalton's after effect of his career? You know, what was some lessons that you learned from the wins and the losses and the injuries and the roadblocks, like we've been talking about this whole time? What were some lessons that you learned that you took and you ingratiate into your work ethic, you know, with your company, and that you ingratiate into your family, to your sons, you know, really just as we try to push the culture forward?
I tell you what, and this is a great thing. I for a while there, I struggled with my how I felt about coach parents. But one thing that used to always resonate with me is that you lose more than you win. We used to talk about that all the time. You have more losses than you have wins, right? And I think my after effect is that I continue to know that I'm going to have more losses than I have wins. And what I mean by losses is you're going to have more lessons learned than your accomplishments. And you have to learn from those lessons to get those accomplishments. Absolutely. And I think that's super important to me, that I celebrate progress. I enjoy the process along the way, and hard work pays off. And I think my effect of what I've been, like I said, I was a 3-year scout team guy to starter. And a lot of people can't say that. And there's guys out there that can say it. And the journey was, I never gave up on myself. I knew that I could do the job if I kept pushing myself to be the best me. And I got the opportunity. And to be honest, when I got the opportunity, I started 16 games, bro, in a row. And that means a lot to me, because I knew it wasn't an easy journey, and I knew the talent that was in front of me. And there's always going to be people more talented than you. But what makes you different than everybody else? You know what I'm saying? And like I said, back then, when I got my opportunity, Jordan Bernstein, way better athlete. Lance Tillerson was a big beast, a hard hitter. I was like, And I was like, what do I got? I was like, I'm not going to make mistakes. Anytime I get on this practice field, anytime that coach me up, he's never going to repeat the exact same mistakes that I did yesterday. And I take that into my career path today. My boss always say, Harold, I can tell you one thing and I'll never tell you again. And I was like, I learned that long time ago that you're never going to repeat yourself. And if you did, it's because I wasn't vulnerable enough to raise my hand and say, I don't know. And vulnerability has been the biggest thing for me to help me be successful till today, because I'm not afraid to say, I don't know. And I think a lot of kids out here want to, have their guard up and always say that I got this. I think that's important to me. So,
man, I love that, bro. That is a super genuine and dope after effect, man. So yeah, lastly, I appreciate you carving out the time, bro. Something that I've been trying to pride myself on is, giving guys flowers while we both still here, man. So, top recruit, was a starter in the Big Ten at our alma mater, man. Went through some hard times, but continued to fight. Now you're senior director for one of the biggest companies here, man. Killing it, raising your family, and as a husband. I just want to show you that love and kind of give you your flowers, while we both sit here, eyes to eyes, men to men.
Oh, same to you, bro. And I told you, your grind was very similar to mine. And there's so many people. It's more people like us than those first rounders and those guys that get drafted every day.
Bro,
right?
Yes. I mean, we're and I always say that when people talk about like the bigger networks, like your Uninterrupted and your Player Tribunes and stuff like that, I'm like, man,
Yes,
we're the lion's share of the consumers that consume all that content. Because like you said, it's 99% of the guys don't ultimately make it or they're not draft picks. That's a very small 1%, man. So, and that's what I'm saying. Our stories still matter, and a lot of times we're not allowed or able to kind of rehash or relive those moments, man. So, yeah, again,
yes, sir.
Had to carve out the time, man. Got your number now, so we'll definitely
lock me in, bro.
Yes, sir.
So
I got you locked in.
If you talk to Tay, I told him I reached out to a couple times, and that's still my dog. We were roommates every game together. The little knucklehead, and he's I love everything that he's doing with his own company and being an entrepreneur and all this stuff, man. I continue to follow you guys, man. Told you guys was trendsetters, bro. We was the 9-inch tees was down to my ankles, and y'all was already started. You know what I mean? Get the fitteds going. So much respect.
That. I'll definitely let Tay know. That you said what's up, man. We do business together. He's actually my insurance broker. So yeah, like you said, supporting Black business, but we're doing business together right now, man. So we'll have a good night to your family. I said hello. You all stay safe in these weird times. Probably gonna have a new variant next week, so y'all stay safe.
It's already 12 out there.
Right, yeah. So stay safe, man.
All right, bless my brother. Love you, man.
Right.
Be safe,
you too, bro. Be safe. All right, guys. So yeah, I thought that was a powerful episode 73 with Harold. Obviously, if you listen to this whole episode, he has a really, really powerful story. If you've watched this entire episode on YouTube, please subscribe to LeBron Daniel TV. Please like. If you have a question, please comment. If you're listening to this on any audio platform, please leave us a review and download our entire catalog. As you know, audio listenership is one of the ways that we make money. I've been dragging my feet with the After Effects merch, but we got a logo. We found some t-shirts that we like, that we feel like are going to be comfortable. Whether you're running errands or you're working out at the gym, I think you all are going to really like it. So can't wait to launch those and try to get some support. So until the next time, peace.
Subscribe to LeBron Daniel TV. But you already knew that, where we dig deep and find our hustle, and every single day we are better than yesterday. Subscribe.